The FIFA Club World Cup winners will pocket up to $125 million in prize money, the highest reward for a football tournament over 7 matches. European clubs will receive more than those from other continents, just for their participation. Happy birthday to Benoit Badiashile, who turns 24 today. John Terry on Didier Drogba. I recently said it. Facing Didier in training from Monday to Friday made it quite easy for me to approach Saturday's matches because I had faced a top-level player. And every day, he was all in, always at 100%. John Terry on Frank Lampard. I think Frank Lampard is our best player of all time. Again, for his longevity, his goals, and his consistency year after year. Hazard is our most talented player of all time. But in terms of performances, Lampard is simply the best for me. Official. The March international break is over. Manchester City will resume competition this weekend with an FA Cup quarterfinal against Bournemouth away. Flick becomes very serious before and during matches. About 30 minutes before kickoff, he goes completely silent and focuses. During matches, he is intense. He has thrown water bottles after the team conceded goals, even at his loyal assistants. Flick uses videos to train his players. Analysts record the first half of matches, and at halftime, Flick projects video clips to correct positioning and highlight opponent weaknesses. This is new, as Xavi used a whiteboard instead. Rafinha had a nightmare at the Monumental as Brazil suffered their worst World Cup qualifying defeat, losing 4-1 to Argentina. Raul Asensio has renewed his contract with Real Madrid until 2029. It's a done deal. A move to Manchester United appeals to Victor Osimhen. Hansi Flick, Araujo and Rafinha will not play against Osasuna. The trip is too long and they need rest. Vinicius Jr. We have to rethink everything we've done. It's impossible. We need to improve and not give up. There's only 1 year left before the World Cup. Real Madrid remains interested in signing Arsenal's William Saliba this summer. Real Madrid truly signed Kylian Mbappe, Antonio Rudiger, and David Alaba on free transfers. They are now reportedly close to adding Trent Alexander-Arnold without spending a cent. Julian Alvarez's last 3 matches, 1 goal against Brazil, 1 assist against Uruguay, and 1 goal against Barcelona. A man for big occasions. Varane shares his surreal reaction when Zidane called him to join Madrid. When Zizou called me, it was in the evening, and I was tired from training. I was also taking my baccalaureate, and agents and clubs were calling me. At first, I didn't pay much attention, and at some point, I recognized his voice and froze. I thought, I recognized this voice. So I ignored Zizou? Am I crazy? Rafael Varane on his first exchanges with Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid. One day, he called me at the start of the season and said, "Why are you bad?" Just like that. He challenged me to bring out the best in me. He threw me back into the game. Real Madrid is now seriously interested in Martin Zubimendi. They are ready to pay 60 million euros to Real Sociedad for the midfielder. Florentino Perez awarded 250,000 euros to each Real Madrid player for eliminating Atletico Madrid and reaching the Champions League quarterfinals. Since joining Real Betis from Manchester United, Antony has created more big chances than any other La Liga player. 6 big chances. Breaking. Chelsea has entered the race to sign Nico Williams. Liverpool is pushing to extend Ibrahima Konaté's contract. It's one of the club's main priorities, and they are working on it. Luis Diaz scored 1 goal and provided an assist for Colombia last night against Paraguay. Dayot Upamecano has suffered a left knee injury and will be out for 6 weeks. Anterior cruciate ligament rupture for Alphonso Davies. He will be out for 6 months. Bayern wants to sign a new striker this summer. Benjamin Sesko is open to spending a year as Kane's backup and could leave for 70 million euros. Moise Kean is also attracting Bayern's interest, but is seen as too inconsistent. Jonathan Burkhardt is an interesting option for the club, which has been monitoring him for a long time. The German has a 20 million euro release clause in his contract, but would probably not settle for a backup role. Needle Hughes, Alphonso Davies' agent. he shouldn't have played against the United States. I was surprised to see him in the starting lineup because he told me he couldn't play 90 minutes. A source within the Canadian Federation told me he wouldn't start but might play a few minutes. I told them he shouldn't play at all. Jamal Musiala on Instagram. Chelsea is willing to pay more to outbid Real Madrid and sign Bournemouth defender Dean Huijsen this summer. Shocking news in African football. Just weeks before the U20 AFCON kicks off, Ivory Coast announces it is withdrawing from hosting the competition following a government decision. As a result, CAF is left without a host country, and the tournament is set to start in just 1 month. Julian Alvarez. With Messi? Maybe we would have scored 2 or 3 more goals. Arsenal enters the race to sign Jorel Hato from Ajax. The Dutch wonderkid is also on Liverpool's radar. Here are the nations already qualified for the 2026 World Cup. Only 41 spots remain. Rodrigo de Paul responds to Rafinha. On the pitch, we did what we had to do. We have never disrespected anyone. Yet for years, we have been disrespected. We have been the best team for 5 or 6 years. You should respect us. Leandro Paredes criticizes Rafinha for his pre-match comments. There's no need to say such things when you can't prove yourself on the pitch. We're used to speaking on the field, and we continue to do our thing. Panathinaikos rejects a €6 million plus €2 million bonus offer from Sporting CP for Georgios Vagianidis. Jorge Jesus, Al Hilal's coach, will be willing to take over the Brazil national team after the Club World Cup. Vinicius Jr. is once again a victim of racism. An Argentine fan made monkey gestures in the stands to mock the Brazilian. Arsenal is preparing to offer Gabriel a new contract to deter Saudi Arabian interest in the center back. Lionel Scaloni. I want Argentinians to enjoy this moment. We don't know how long it will last, but at some point, it will change. I hope it lasts a long time, but for now, let's enjoy how these guys play. We will persevere. Atlanta has set a £50 million asking price for Ademola Lookman amid interest from Manchester United and Newcastle United. Manchester United will only pursue a summer deal for Jared Branthwaite if Harry Maguire leaves the club. Crystal Palace is making progress in contract talks with Oliver Glasner amid RB Leipzig's interest in the Austrian manager. Joe Martinez is very close to resuming training on the field. Carvajal and Militao are feeling good training with physiotherapists. Real Madrid's goal is for Trent Alexander-Arnold to play in the Club World Cup as a Madrid player. Julian Alvarez on Rafinha's comments. Obviously, it adds spice to the match, but with humility, we gave them a lesson. Lionel Messi congratulates Argentina on Instagram. Argentina humiliates Brazil. Already qualified for the 2026 World Cup, Argentina was not satisfied and showed Brazil who rules the continent. First with 31 points in 14 qualifiers, Argentina dominates. Brazil is fourth with 21 points. Arda Güler is the profile Aston Villa is looking for. Bayern targets Bradley Barcola and Hugo Ekitike this summer. However, departures will be necessary before recruiting the 2 players. Lionel Scaloni's class after Rafinha's offensive comments. I forgive Rafinha because I know he didn't do it on purpose. He is defending his country. I am absolutely convinced that he didn't mean to hurt anyone. Happy birthday to Mikel Arteta, who turns 43 today. Colombia lets Paraguay come back. 2-2. Despite goals from Luis Diaz and Johan Duran, the Cafeteros leave with just 1 point. What a goal from Enciso. Colombia is 6th, while Paraguay is 5th in the standings. No winner between Chile and Ecuador, 0-0. The Ecuadorians are second and very close to qualifying for the 2026 World Cup. Chile is last and on the verge of missing another World Cup. Ancelotti will leave if Real Madrid finishes the season without any additional titles. Xabi Alonso will replace him. However, it is unlikely that he will leave this summer, as the team is still competing for titles. With his goal for Morocco yesterday, Brahim Diaz now has 8 goals and 2 assists in 10 matches with his national team. Here is PSG's home jersey for next season. Mohamed Salah is the player from the top 5 European leagues who has contributed to the most goals for his club and country this season. Aston Villa has started discussions with 25-year-old midfielder Boubacar Kamara for a new contract. Luka Modric, Raul Asensio, and Lunin are the only internationals already back in training. Ancelotti back in discussions for the Selecao. Pressure on Dorival Jr. has reached a peak after the 4-1 defeat against Argentina, reigniting the debate about a coaching change at the Brazilian Football Confederation. CBF president reportedly favors Carlo Ancelotti, whose name is once again in discussions. However, the Club World Cup is delaying a decision. Under contract with Real Madrid until 2026, the Italian coach would reportedly welcome Brazil's interest. Subscribe for daily football news.